Today we'll be discussing how long your cables can be, what factors impact your cable length, and we'll also showcase a cable length calculator that's now available to help you design your systems. What's the longest Phidget cable that you can use? Second generation VINT devices can use cables up to 50 meters long. Two questions arise from this. How do you build long cables, and what's the limit for a particular system? We sell pre-assembled Phidget cables in a variety of lengths, from 10 centimeters to 350 centimeters. If you need a cable longer than 350 centimeters, you'll need to build it yourself. We sell cut-to-length extension wire for this purpose. This wire is a heavier gauge at 22 compared to the 26 gauge wire used for normal Phidget cables. This is done purposefully to reduce resistance and increase performance for long cables. We also sell other multi-conductor cables that are suitable for VINT systems. Alternatively, your local hardware store is likely to carry multi-conductor cables that will work well with VINT. We find thermostat wire in particular works well for this application. Next, we'll talk about factors that impact cable length. It's important to understand if your system is first generation or second generation. If both the VINT Hub and the VINT device have a shield, you have a second generation system, and you can have a Phidget cable up to 50 meters long. If either your device or your VINT Hub does not have a shield, you have a first generation system, and you'll be limited to a Phidget cable that's 5 meters long. Another factor that can impact your cable length is the VINT communication speed. At 100 kilobits per second, you can have a cable that's 50 meters long. This means if you're running your device at 1 megabit per second, the maximum cable length you can use is 2.5 meters long. Another factor that impacts cable length is power consumption. Devices that use more power will have a shorter maximum cable length. This can be somewhat offset by simply using a heavier cable, which will allow you to push the maximum distance out. As you can see, there's a variety of factors that impact the maximum cable length you can use for your system. Luckily, we've created a calculator to simplify this process. We'll start by demonstrating the calculator using the Humidity Phidget. First, we'll navigate to the Humidity Phidget product page. From here, we'll go to the Specifications tab and scroll down until we see the cable length calculator. The first option we have for this device is whether or not a shield is present on the enclosure. Second generation upgrades can be made without a part number change, so it's important to check your enclosure. After determining if a shield is present, we can then select the VINT Hub we'll be using with the device. The Hub 1 is a second generation device, so our maximum cable length is 50 meters. If we select the Hub 0, which is a first generation device, we can see the maximum cable length is now 5 meters. Next, we'll take a look at the PhidgetSpatial MOT0110. This device takes advantage of high-speed VINT communication, so calculating a max cable length is more involved than the previous example. When the PhidgetSpatial is connected to a Hub 1 with a VINT communication speed of 100K, we can see that the maximum cable length is 50 meters with heavier cables. As we increase the speed, we can see the maximum cable length decreasing. At the highest speed of 1 megabit per second, our maximum cable length is 2.5 meters. We can also see that by increasing our VINT communication speed, the minimum data interval of the device is decreasing. At 100K, the device has a data interval of 8 milliseconds, or a data rate of 125 Hz. At 1 meg, this is increased to 500 Hz. Not all devices will have variable VINT communication speeds, or have a data rate that's impacted by changing the communication speed. Always reference the Specifications tab and the cable length calculator for more information about your particular device. Taking a look at some of the other drop-down menus, we can now see a hub port option. When looking at the enclosure for the Hub 1, we can see that the 1M symbol, which indicates high-speed ports, is only present on ports 0 through 2. If we select port 3, we can see that the device speed is now locked to 100K. Finally, if your device has any parameters that may impact power consumption, it'll be listed on this calculator. Here, the PhidgetSpatial has a temperature stabilization feature that consumes more power when enabled. If we toggle this checkbox, we can see that the maximum cable length is decreased, especially on smaller gauge wire. Thanks for watching. For more information, visit our VINT Upgrades Guide and our VINT Communication Speed Guide.